The AAOS Bone Beat Orthopedic Podcast channel is pleased to welcome you to the first episode of the AAOS Now Podcast, formerly the AAOS Advocacy Podcast. This exciting new podcast series will cover a broad range of topics related to orthopedic surgery and practice, as well as continuing to promote orthopedic advocacy. This episode spotlights the Board of Councilors, which represents the grassroots of the orthopedic profession, serving as an advisory body to the AAOS Board of Directors and a resource to AAOS committees.
I'm Dr. Stuart Fischer from the AAOS Now Editorial Board, and we're joined today with Dr. Michael Leddy from Alexandria, Louisiana. Dr. Leddy is the incoming chair of the Board of Councilors. Mike, it's nice to see you.
Stu, thank you very much for having me today.
So, you're in sports medicine practice?
That's correct. I actually was born in New York City and did my college and med school up at Boston University, and I wound up doing my residency at LSU. And after LSU, I went up to TRIA Orthopaedics in Minneapolis and studied under Joel Boyd and David Fischer and fellowship training there. Afterwards, I took my first job in Orlando, Florida. I was with a wonderful private practice group there. And after the birth of our two daughters, my wife asked if we could go back home to Louisiana, where she's from. So Andre, Mary Kate, and Anna Claire and I wound up going back right after Katrina. And we wound up in a very small little town in the middle of Louisiana called Alexandria. And I've been there for 18 years now.
Wow. Okay. So how did you first become involved with the Academy? Did you start with your state society?
That's correct. When I moved back to Louisiana, the gentleman who was the managing partner of our group, Christopher Rich, was in the presidential line of the Louisiana Orthopaedic Association. Now, when I was a resident member, and when I left, I had joined the Florida Orthopedic Society. But when I came back, he asked me if I would be interested in being the regional representative that sat on the board of directors of the Louisiana Orthopedic Association. So I did that for 4 years, and then I was elected treasurer. I spent 3 years as the treasurer of the society, and then wound up falling into the presidential line. And in 2000 and 2001, I served as the president of the Louisiana Orthopedic Association. At the end of that, during my past presidency year, an opening came up for the Board of Councilors, and the Louisiana Orthopedic Association voted me on to the Board of Councilors. So I've been a member of the Board of Councilors since then.
Do you think that your time in state society office has helped prepare you and educate you for your time on the Board of Councilors?
I really do, and if you look across what makes up the Board of Councilors, many of the members are past presidents or current presidents or were served on committees in their state society. The Board of Councilors is a grassroots society. It's an advisory board to the Board of Directors, and I was able to see what was affecting my state and what was going on in my state. And once I joined the Board of Councilors, I realized that the same issues that I was facing in my state were being faced by other states, not only just surrounding Louisiana like Texas and Mississippi, but there were the same issues in Washington, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Maine. So it really set me up to be very active in the Board of Councilors.
So looking at the playing field now, what are some of those common issues that we have to deal with in the coming year, 2 years, 5 years?
Well, on a state level, there's always going to be scope of practice issues, whether it be with nurse practitioners, physician assistants, podiatrists. Those are always physical therapy. Those are always going to be there. Prior authorization is a big issue that we're dealing with across the board. I think the clawbacks that are coming on right now with some of the insurance companies now, after you actually perform the surgery, coming back 2-3 months later and revisiting the codes and clawing back money from you is a big issue. And then, of course, both on the states and nationally, Medicare reform and the inflationary issues that we face in practice are big issues.
So the BOC works very closely with state societies. There's grant money. How is that grant money given out?
So there's two committees in the BOC. There's the State Orthopedic Society Committee, and then there's the State Legislative Committee.
That everybody calls slurry.
Which everyone calls slurry. And so that committee focuses on advocacy. that's going on in the state. And the State Orthopedic Society Committee focuses on issues that the state societies may be facing, whether it be funding for membership, rebuilding websites, rebuilding their organization, reorganization. So there's grants that are given by the Academy that these two committees sit down twice a year and review. So what the states are encouraged to do is they file a grant and a proposal for us to get that grant. They basically say what their issue is, and both committees have a level of issues, tier issues that they look at. And we have either the Board of Councilors representative for that state or any member of that state orthopedic society, whether it be the president, the treasurer, or just a layperson, come to the committee, whether they want to do it in person or by Zoom, and they present it to the committee. Once all the proposals are done, the committee meets, and based on the amount of money that's available, they award money to that state for their issue that they're dealing with. What we ask of that state is to give us an update the following year as to how the money was used, as well as what successes you've had. And why that's important is we are building a registry of all the grants that have been given out to both committees, so that if a state comes up with an issue, say it's a scope of practice issue, or it's a physician-owned hospital issue, or physician-owned physical therapy, if one state has had a win, or even if one state has a loss.
That can serve as a template or as a model, and the Board of Councilors then can provide that help or that advice to another state.
Correct, and it helps with the pathway. And what we've done is we've been able to take those states and get them in contact with the states that have gone through it, and it's cut down on a lot of the wasted time of not knowing how to do it or who to get in contact with. In fact, just recently, we've had a wonderful win in Delaware with regards to physical therapy, and they were actually able to contact South Carolina that had gone through the same issue, and they were able to use the same attorneys as well as the same lobbyists to get that win. So it's been really successful. The best thing that we had announced today is at our meeting is that we were actually able to increase the funding for the State Orthopedic Society. Normally, this Academy gives us $20,000 a year. The Board of Councilors actually went to the Board of Directors, and we worked on a proposal so that I'm happy to say that over the next 3 years on a pilot program, the Academy has awarded the Board of Councilors State Orthopedic Society $60,000 a year to help with our State Orthopedic Society issues. And what we're trying to do is build a partnership and a sustainable model with that moving forward, that those funds stay permanent. And then once we're done there, we'd like to revisit this with our slurry committee so that we can also have a joint partnership to maintain these funds moving forward.
Yeah, you mentioned scope of practice issues, and that's been a big concern for everybody. Specifically, which issues do you think are at the front?
I think the biggest issue that we're seeing right now has to do with podiatry. It has to do with the different states facing issues with podiatrists trying to do surgeries that are not involving the foot and ankle. There's some states that the podiatrists are actually asking to be able to do complex pilon fractures, tibia fractures, even actually putting an arthroscope in a knee. So that is something that has come up on numerous occasions. A couple of years ago, Oregon faced that, and just this year, I believe it's Mississippi that's facing it right now. So that is a common issue and a common problem. And with the Academy and with the Specialty Society, they're trying to work around, because there are some members of our organization that have podiatrists that work in their orthopedic group. So it's a balancing act to try to find the right path to go without disrupting the apple cart, so to speak. But the most important thing that we do is we need to make sure that we are advocates for our patients, and our patients are getting the appropriate care from the appropriate people that have the appropriate training, and the bigger issues that we have faced.
We all face the issue of Medicare pay cuts.
Yes.
How is the BOC approaching that?
Well, this is a tough topic to talk about, because we all know that this year we received a 2% cut, and that hit everybody very hard. I want to assure you that the BOC and our advocacy are working hard. This is moving an iceberg. This is not moving a shopping cart. It's moving an iceberg.
In the middle of an Arctic Sea.
Correct. And even though we had a cut, we have had successes. It kind of sounds weird to say that we were successful and only got a 2% cut. There was up to a 10% cut, and our advocacy through the BOC and the BOS and our efforts up at the National Orthopaedic Leadership Conference in Washington have worked very, very hard. I think we have a real opportunity right now with where our government is sitting right now. I think the stars are aligned right now, and the only way we're going to be able to do it is to continue to work through our advocacy. You hate to say that, you need money to do this, but our government is financially driven, and we need to support the PAC. We need to support our PAC both federally and at our state level, and that way we can have the fundraisers we need. We can get in front of the right people and get this thing done, because I really and truly believe I have all the trust in Adam Brueggemann. He has done a fantastic job, and if Adam thinks that this is the time to do it, then I'm all in for it.
Yeah, and one of the things the BOC encourages people to do is to come to NOLC in the fall and participate in advocacy and participate in congressional Hill visits and talk to our legislators and their aides.
That's correct. And what the Board of Councilors and the Board of Subspecialists do during the NOLC is we have a Hill Day education right beforehand. So during our meeting in the evening, we actually sit down and we look at the topics for advocacy that we would like to discuss. And then the Academy has set it up so that you actually have an app where they set up meetings for you with your congressmen and women and your senators all throughout the state, both Democratic and Republican, because both we don't look at colors. We look at issues, and we look for people that are going to support us. And then what we do during our Hill Day that we have is we actually go up to Congress, and we will meet with our congressmen and women and our senators in their offices with their aides, and we actually get face-to-face time with them to discuss the issues that are facing us. What's really nice is that the BOC has really made an effort to encourage their members to become contacts with their state representatives, so that when they go into the meetings, there's a friendly face there. They know us by first name basis. I really, in my state, I've had the privilege of knowing Julia Letlow as my representative. I know Mike Johnson very well. I know Steve Scalise very well, and I know Bill Cassidy very well. And if you really look at it, the federal government right now is going through Louisiana, so it's an important role that I'm serving right now, and I look forward to our Hill visit this coming year.
So all the stars point to Louisiana?
All the stars point to Louisiana, so I'm sure everybody's going to be looking at me in a couple of months. So.
Well, good luck with all that. Now, one of the things that the BOC has engaged in, both with its members and with everybody, is bidirectional communication and communication with Academy members. Can you talk a little more about that?
Absolutely. So this year, and I'm going to give all the credit to our past chairman, Joel Meyerson, Joel set up regional meetings, Zoom meetings this year, and he encouraged all the Board of Councilor members to be a part of it, but we invited any member from the society, particularly the presidential lines or treasurers and executive directors of the state societies, to get on the Zoom. And what we did is we invited the presidential line from the Academy to be on this Zoom.
These were for 5 different regional meetings.
5 different regional meetings. We did them in June, and they were about an hour to an hour and a half long, and it allowed our members and our state societies to have direct contact with the presidential line to ask questions and to get their comments as to where the Academy was going, and also be able to voice concerns to the presidential line. And I really got to thank Paul, Ned, and Wilfred for being a part of it, and I have assurance that we're going to be able to do it again this year. So we're going to once again do that. Now, from that, we encourage our Board of Councilors to go back to their state orthopedic societies. I encourage them to ask for 5 to 10 minutes during their state meetings where they can sit down and they can update their members as to what the Board of Councilors is doing and what the Academy is doing for them, and encourage their members to consider becoming members of the Academy if they aren't already. And we also want to encourage them to become members of their state society. So the bidirectional thing has been fantastic, and it was probably one of the number one thing that our members commented on as being such a success this year, and they were so appreciative of.
So you think the Board of Councilors has strengthened its ties with the state societies?
Without a doubt. I think that's the way it does it. And I think having the state societies be able to have contact with the board as well as the board of the BOC has been instrumental in getting across changes that are coming to the academy, as well as them being able to voice concerns to the academy that can be presented at the board of directors.
Yeah, so the BOC has representatives on several academy committees, such as coding and reimbursement, healthcare safety, and EBQV. Are you looking to increase BOC representation on any other committees?
Right now, I've had really great discussions with Matt Provencer. I'm I'm a New Orleans guy. I'm a Louisiana guy. I'm really excited about.
So you're promoting next year's meeting.
I am promoting next year's meeting, and I really hope everyone considers coming to New Orleans. We had the Super Bowl, we had the Sugar Bowl, we just had Mardi Gras, and it was a fantastic 2 months. The city's a little tired right now, but they're always ready to go. But I've talked to Matt a little bit about it, about potentially getting a seat on the annual meeting committee from a Board of Councilors member, because, again, the Board of Councilors represents what's going on in the states. And how is the meeting successful? It's finding out what their members are looking for, what they need from the academy. And there's no better way to get that than from having a group such as the Board of Councilors that can ask their members to go back to their state societies, get their opinions, get their ideas, and then bring it to that meeting to present in front of that committee. So that's one of the goals I've had, and I've gotten a great response from Matt, so we're going to continue. He made the comment to me, he wants the Board of Councilors involved. He thinks it's a great way to continue to grow the organization and grow the meeting.
And that holds true for all committees.
That's correct.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about coordination between the BOC, Board of Councilors, and BOS, Board of Specialties?
So sure. So at the BOC and the BOS, so the original NOLAC meeting in Washington was strictly BOC when it was started. A few years later, we invited the Board of Subspecialties to come in, and it's been a joint venture since then. So we have developed committees actually that are joint committees that the BOC and the BOS work with. The other thing is just like the Board of Councilors, the secretary, the vice chair, and the chair, the Board of Subspecialties mirrors those positions, and they have 3 seats on the Board of Directors. So the Board of Councilors and the Board of Subspecialties work hand in hand together, and we also sit on other different committees in the academy, such as advocacy, where we constantly are talking about issues and ideas to make the academy and make the meeting better.
And so beyond all the things we've talked about, do you have any other specific goals or priorities for your coming year as chair?
I was joking around earlier today. I said I have big shoes to fill because Joel did such a wonderful job. My goal is to continue the bi-directional conversations that have been between the academy and the Board of Councilors and the states. I really want to push the state societies this year. I want to re-engage the executive directors of the state societies to make sure that they know that they are a part of this and their voices are important. They do wonderful work for us. I want to make sure that our states are well represented and we have the ability, if they are struggling, to be able to offer them help. I want to work hand in hand with Dr. Brueggemann with advocacy. I want to see our PAC grow. That's my goals this year. And I also just want to be available for our members, so if they have any ideas or they have any issues, they know that there's a place to go and that there's a direct line to the Board of Directors and the PL so they can express those concerns.
Best way for members to contact you?
Best way for members to contact me is through the website, the Academy, as well as contact me through any of their Board of Councilors. They all have my email, and I'd be more than happy to respond. Be more than happy to do a Zoom meeting for any of their state orthopedic societies to talk about what the Board of Councilors are and what our goals are. And Also, the other thing I'd like to do is I want to really focus on our residents. I want to focus on our residents so they understand how important advocacy is, how important it is to be a part of their state orthopedic societies, how important it is to be a part of the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgery. Board of Councilors for a long time has been thought of as just a group of doctors, mostly private practice, that are in the Board of Councilors. Joel actually did a study this year, and he looked at all of our members of the Board of Councilors, and it fell, percentage-wise, it fell directly in line with the members of the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgery. So the Board of Councilors actually represents the same percentages that, with regards to employed status, that the Academy does. So I really want to get our young physicians started in this and get them excited about it. If you're an orthopedic surgeon, you have a home in the Board of Councilors. You have a home in your state orthopedic societies.
And your last goal is for everyone to come to New Orleans.
Absolutely. Like I've told everybody.
Experience the Crescent City.
It is. I can't tell you how excited we are to have the Academy back. It's been many years since the Academy's been there. The city has changed tremendously. There's new hotels. The hotels are right across from the convention center. You never have to worry about a bad meal there. The restaurants are fantastic. And there's a ton of things to do for a family. The Audubon Zoo, the aquarium, the World War II Museum is if not one of the greatest, but the greatest museum that you can experience in the United States. There's so many things to do there, and if the weather this year for March 2nd to 6th is anything what it's going to be like next year, it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful time. So I want everybody to come down to the Academy next year.
Dr. Michael Leddy, Chair of the Board of Councilors, thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to Episode 1 of the AAOS Now Podcast, part of the Bone Beat Orthopaedic Podcast channel, featuring Dr. Stuart Fischer and Dr. Michael Leddy. Production and editing provided by MK Quinn Media. You can learn more about the Board of Councilors and how to get involved in orthopedic advocacy at aaos.org/BOC. Don't miss out on future episodes of the new AAOS Now Podcast. Bookmark our page, aaos.org/AAOS-Now-Podcasts. Subscribe to the Bone Beat Podcast channel on Apple Podcasts, listen on the Health Podcast Network or Spotify, and watch select episodes on YouTube. You'll find the AAOS Advocacy Podcast archive on all of these platforms as well.